And hey, there we go. How are you? How
Hi.
are you? And welcome to our weekly check-in. We wanted to hit a topic that I think is helpful for because we know that there's a range of people and range of marriages that are listening and where you are emotionally, mentally, and otherwise. And I want to talk a little bit today about when we get stuck, because this is what I've seen happen sometimes. I've seen it happen sometimes where this will be couples that will sometimes come from counseling, for counseling, but not always. Sometimes it'll be when you're trying to, there's a problem in your marriage where you're stuck, where you feel like, man, you keep hitting the same wall and nothing seems to be working. Things seem to be getting worse. Individually, you're great people. People may even be saying, man, we don't know what's going on. You guys seem to have these, that we talked about before, communication issues.
And you may even feel like you're trying.
And you may feel like you're trying, but it just seems like you just seem stuck, like your feet stuck in molasses.
Right.
Right?
Can't make any headway.
Can't make any headway.
Nope.
What else would you describe with that stuck feeling?
You feel like what the good you're doing is not being acknowledged.
And the good that you're doing
Is not
is not being acknowledged.
Right.
And that stuck point. And when you get there, it can be a very frustrating place to be.
And discouraging.
So you were saying we should address that.
We should talk about that. Because that's a reality. It's a reality that you'll get to a place where you feel like you're doing all of the right things. Why doesn't it feel better though?
Why doesn't it feel better? Yeah, one of the best things that I've discovered, and this can be especially hard to see when you're in that point. There's a state that in my training that I think is good to help. It's just good to know. It's this idea of something they call a negative sentiment override. You say, what is that? That does sound weird. Negative sentiment override. But what is that about? But negative sentiment override is this. I like to describe it as, imagine if you're trying to stick, it's a silly example, you're trying to stick a Post-it note on a greasy pan.
Oh no.
Just, I know that image is weird. It just won't stick. Go ahead, what you were saying?
It picks up all the dirt and it doesn't stick.
On an emotional level, that's what can happen to a marriage, is that when you have so much accumulated bad memories, hurts, disappointments, and just it's been a bad 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 months of something.
5 years.
5 years or something. Even when your spouse is ready to change or you're ready to change, we don't notice it. The good things won't stick. But it's not because you're all of a sudden non-intelligent. It's because on an emotional level, we don't register the good. So your husband has been insensitive and not responsive, and all of a sudden they have a religious breakthrough, or they have a moment of clarity, an aha moment, right? And from August or April 15th, they're amazing. That spouse will probably, if they're in negative sentiment override, they will not notice the good, and that can be very discouraging for the other person. Why is that, do you say?
It makes me think about the idea of the bank account, filling up the bank account. And I always think about the subway and how the subway is below ground level. So even though you're filling it up, you may not feel it until it gets to ground level. Then you might begin to feel like better. But
right.
In the meantime, you're like all the way down here. So
Right.
that's how I feel about it. Like, negative sentiment is you're negative, like it's all the way down below the subway. So even though you're filling it up, you may not see anything, you may not feel anything, but once you hit ground level, then it's like, okay, now I'm gonna keep going, and I'm actually on the positive side. And so the thing for me is to keep doing it even though I'm not at ground level yet, because I'm building.
Yes.
To not quit, to keep doing it.
Yes. Absolutely. Look, and we want to give this encouragement. If you are in a point where in your marriage you feel stuck, a couple of practical encouragements I want to give is, number one, realize that it's going to be hard to see the good in your marriage and your spouse even if they change. Just realize that. Once you realize that, step 2, I want to encourage you, track the good. Have a plan where you can daily notice the good that your spouse is doing, express appreciation for it, and notice it. Years ago, there was an old movie and challenge where they called it the Love Dare.
Oh, yeah.
And that whole thing was about, man, I'm going to really invest in my marriage, even when it's tough, because it takes time. And to understand on the other side that it takes time for your spouse to begin to go from out of the negative, so to speak, and get to a 0. I want to encourage you. You may feel stuck, but don't allow that to stop the good that you know will make a difference. Go on the date nights.
Yes.
Practice the 5 Ps that we talked about before. Carve out that time to talk about your relationship, even though it's tough. Continue to get help for your marriage, whether it's in church or professional. You will get through.
Yes.
The emotions are going to change. They take time. They take time.
Don't grow weary of doing good. Keep giving, and you will get to the other side.
Getting stuck doesn't last forever, but it'll feel like it does.
It'll feel like it.
That's the catch. So fight through. It's worth it. Thank you guys so much. And until we check in again, enjoy your 5 Ps.
Yes. Find more of our videos on our YouTube channel, Mind Change. Let us know what you think. Add comments, ask questions, give suggestions for future topics. We love to hear from you.